It's night and day. Ah, hello everybody.
Hello, welcome back.
Yes, we are also back. Night is back and day is back.
We are back. Back in the world of Detroit Become Human.
And Detroit is back in the world of Earth. So you may have heard of it. Let us dive back into the extras, which are videos which are in the world of Detroit.
Which is back in the world.
Of Earth.
Alright, let's dive into some soundtrack Detroit stuff.
Yes. Now that you've
heard.
Now that you've heard our horrible voices.
Yeah.
Listen to something that should be kinder to the ears.
Pour la bande originale du jeu, on a essayé d'être
For the soundtrack of the game, we tried to be very close to what is done in film. We were constantly asking at each place in the game, why are we putting music here? What is it going to say? So we focused the music on bringing emotion, which is interactive, and supports the character's arc.
I'm sorry, honey. I'm sorry. I'm sorry. You know I love you, don't you? You know I love you.
We make games that are very narrative. We're really into interactive drama. So the soundtrack also had to go in that direction, supporting the three characters' very different stories. We really wanted three colors, three musical sound identities, and from there, having three composers made sense, since the story of Kara, Marcus, and Connor are all completely different.
You recognize him? It's Carlos Ortiz.
For Connor, we wanted a soundtrack that could be very cold and very mechanical, very machine-esque somehow. For Kara, we wanted a soundtrack that would be very moving and emotional. It was about the quest for identity, but it was also a journey about love and empathy. And for Marcus, we wanted something epic, something that would really represent the grand aspect of his quest. And we were very fortunate to find three incredibly talented composers, and working with them has been a dream, honestly.
My name is Philip Shepherd, and I'm a composer and a cellist and a producer. And today we're at Abbey Road Studio One, which is my favourite studio in the world. And today we're recording the soundtrack for Kara from Become Human. So when I compose a big project, I often travel just to kind of get out, and get some fresh air and some inspiration. And I go hiking and traveling in Montana a lot. I had a log fire in the room that I was staying in, and the flames were kind of making absolutely direct music. And it became the basis for Kara's theme, and it sounds something like this. Now, over the top of that, I found a little theme that just seemed to fit over the top, which is taking Kara's name, Kara, and just using like a two-syllable motif, and it sounds like this.
We're going to pull through this, Alice. As long as we're together, nothing can hurt us.
And all the time that's fitting over. So it kind of works in lots of levels. And in fact, every single theme in the score has one of those elements built into it, and it becomes sort of the DNA of every single tune. For me, writing this theme for Kara, I actually had to tap into what it feels like to be a father to daughters. I really had to tap into everything I feel about my daughters. I'm thinking, well, if I had to write music for them and that sense of trying to protect them but also give them the freedom, that's totally where it came from. Because each composer has been given the sort of narrative responsibility for very different characters, I haven't had to sort of go into other styles. I can actually be very loyal to this particular character and sort of hopefully encapsulate her. But it means also I've suddenly become very connected to this character. And if for some reason it goes to game over early, I'm getting mortified, you know?
They're over there!
Starting a new project, for me personally, it's always finding the right tone, finding the right color, I like to call it. For me, it's finding that right texture that actually sits against picture really well. One of the biggest things is I created custom instruments for Connor. I pulled out all my vintage synthesizers to be able to capture this robotic person, if you will. My approach to all of these custom instruments is that I hear the sound in my head. And either I could just come into the piano and just be like, all right, so I'm gonna just get on the computer and just create it. I rather be able to play these instruments physically.
Oh, that's nice. If you can do the dun, dun, dun.
As soon as you see Connor the first time, there is a really interesting thematic idea that you hear, and that's just made out of a Moog synthesizer, but completely manipulated in multiple ways. And it's robotic. It has a little bit of an emotional to it. He's on his mission, so you feel that as well. So it just kind of gives you that cold, motionless, with a mission in hand that you kind of feel throughout the whole thing. Because the music evolved, one of the things that I was very weary and I was very kind of focused on was the way that the music has to evolve. So my idea behind it was that Connor is a singular android that could at any point become a deviant or could actually stay as an android. So I created a more or less an Connor theme, and then I was able to just manipulate it in different aspects of it.
Is everything okay, Lieutenant?
Chris was on patrol last night. He was attacked by a bunch of deviants.
I'm a human being writing for a robot, and throughout Connor's journey, he meets someone, he meets a partner. So how do you deal with a robot feeling? And I've met a partner that I'm gonna work with, or all of a sudden he sees a dead body. Does this robot have an imagination? Does this robot have a feeling? And if yes, how do you translate that into non-emotional music? So it basically at any point I was just like, I can't do this, and then I just do it.
Property was damaged and fires continue to rage in several major districts across the city.
Some people are asking, have androids become a threat to our security?
When I first started really digging in on Marcus, the one thing that I really tried to capture was the transformation process. You know, Marcus is this android that evolves over the course of the game and really goes from kind of figuring out that he's more than just an android. You know, he's starting to develop kind of a human soul in a way.
Try to imagine something that doesn't exist, something you've never seen. Now concentrate on how it makes you feel and let your hand drift across the canvas.
The other side of Marcus that I really latched onto was that he almost became a savior for a lot of the other androids in the game. So when I started developing the theme for Marcus, I really made it like a church hymn. I wanted it to be very simple. I wanted to make it a chordal melody. I really wanted to make it almost like a Bach hymn. The tough thing with that is it had to be recognizable. If I made it too complex from a harmonic standpoint, it would be hard, I think, for people to kind of pick it out and recognize it. It's very acoustic derived, but it's also been treated with a lot of effects and things to kind of put it into the space that I felt the sound should be in. It can be beautiful, it can be haunting, it can be extremely powerful from an action standpoint, and I'm really happy with the way it turned out. The music is there, but it's subliminal and it's emotional, and people are feeling it, and it's not distracting. And that's tricky with a game like this, where you have to have a lot of ins and outs like that, where the music kind of has to get in and out of these moments.
This is a war we're fighting with the humans. If we fail, they'll destroy us.
I think the game's been put together so well, where I just wanted to make sure that I wasn't ruining the emotion. I gotta be honest, when we first started on this path, I said, oh man, this could be pretty messy, you know? I mean, it could feel disconnected, but I mean, it's amazing how they really guided us and got us to really kind of all be in the same world, but at the same time feeling completely different. So it's really gonna stand out and kind of be one of those games where people are really gonna notice the music and kind of how it was crafted, and, you know, and all the hard work that went into being able to pull it off in a graceful way.
Man, yeah, that was pretty interesting.
I like the concept of 3 different composers, and they're all just set working on just one character. I think that like that one for Kara says is they can get a little bit more invested in the character than just having one guy just have to split his time over the 3 different characters.
Yeah, I really like that too, because then you'll get 3 definitely distinct sounds.
Right, yeah.
Although, I mean, honestly, in certain other games, like Final Fantasy games, sometimes they've had classic games where you've got, 10 different characters, each with their own theme music, and it still sounds completely distinct. So sometimes you can have one composer if they're like a super genius.
Right.
And they can accomplish that sort of thing still with everybody having their own unique sound. But yeah, I mean, I do like the concept of what they did here. It just seems a little bit more Hollywood and not necessarily something you'd have to turn to for that result.
Yeah, I guess if you find the right composer, he or she can nail this out easily.
Yeah. Well, not necessarily easily.
I guess not necessarily easily.
But yeah, it can be done without like some stuff that the second guy was saying. I made my own instrument.
My God.
Okay.
Yeah.
Calm it down just a little bit. I don't think that you
Yeah.
You had to do that with that gigantic like he had a couple of pipes and some strings, like he made a giant woodwind instrument,
right?
Stringed instrument rather.
Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah, it seems a little bit over the top with all of the instruments that exist in the world. I mean, yeah, I get it if you want to create like a sound that's really distinct and unique, but you can do that like with a mixture of what exists in the physical, and then you can add like digital filters and all that stuff through it.
Yeah,
and at this point, it's like creating a new sound isn't that insanely difficult.
And the sound for Connor didn't really have that unique, weird, isolated sound. Like most of Connor's stuff was this like synthy, Android synth kind of
it's
music.
Really mechanical synth style.
Yeah.
It's very digital.
Didn't notice this unique
like
whale mating sound or whatever he's going for. I like the third guy a lot more, like the guy who did Marcus's soundtrack.
Yeah,
he seemed like a lot more down to earth. Like the style that he was using seemed like not pretentious. It seemed like he respected the characters and the source material.
For sure, yeah.
And the music, I really like the theme that plays while Marcus is painting. That's one of my favorite pieces in the entire game, if not my favorite, because that was just such an awesome track.
Yeah, for sure. Like I'm glad that they showed that off again, because that's definitely one of the it's one of the better tracks that they have. I think Marcus has some of the best music in this in this game.
I think so too. As it comes. It's partially in nature with his character having the most important role as leading the revolution.
Right, yeah.
Kara's music was pretty awesome. It has that emotional connection going on there.
Yeah, for sure. They definitely made it a bit more moving, especially more than Connor's, because Connor's was meant to be very mechanical and like no emotion at all.
All right, so let's dive into the next one.
All right, Chloe. Hey, let's see what you have to say for yourself. What do you... Maybe this will be what she's doing while she was gone.
Yeah. And she's just got a sniper rifle. She's standing right behind us. Before the story of the game.
Oh, man.
For starters, what should I call you?
I'm Chloe. And you, what's your name?
Oh, John. My name is John.
Delighted to meet you, John.
Could you tell us a little about yourself and what you can do, Chloe?
Of course. I'm the first personal assistant built by CyberLife. I take care of most everyday tasks like cooking, housework, or managing your appointments, for example.
And I understand you're the first android to have passed the Turing test. Could you tell us a little more about that?
I really didn't do much, you know. I just spoke with a few humans to see if they could tell the difference between me and a real person. It was a really interesting experience.
But this is the first time in history that man has created a machine more intelligent than himself. I gather your brain can perform several billion operations per second, is that right?
Absolutely, but I only exist thanks to the intelligence of the humans who designed me. And, you know, they have something I could never have.
Really? And what's that?
A soul.
That was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was the first take on Chloe ever. That's interesting.
Although she didn't seem like that when we met the several Chloes in Kamsky's place in the game.
For sure, those Chloes were really like, it seemed more cold and detached.
Yeah.
This Chloe was like just a human with that LED on her forehead.
And now they're confirming the
temple.
Yeah, she was much more human-like, much more casual. And now they're confirming the concept of, yes, the Android processors are capable of super fast computation.
Right.
Yeah. Like, if that's the case, then I would think they would have a lot less problems if they were like just extremely superior in every way. And they could think and process that quickly. I would think that any Android could beat a human in a fight because they could just, with that many computations, they could automatically be doing martial arts. Oh, the human's fist is approaching me at this angle. I can rotate my arm in this way in order to redirect the blow and move the force of energy, like redirect his energy and then push him back this way to continue. And basically, they'd all be like master Aikido artists, like directing the flow of energy of any confrontation because they could think and take like tons of time to come up with that, even if they didn't know how to do it originally.
Yeah, for sure. They can work through all of these different like combinations and permutations of moves that could be happening. So it's like, okay, if he comes at me at this angle with like his foot, I can either move out of the way in all of these directions or apply pressure in all of these different directions.
Yeah.
And like you can go through the outcome and start branching through, or you can just, okay, you can do, so it's like it's depth versus breadth, which is like if you want to do all of the first layer or you want to go down one specific layer at a time, but you can continue this, you can continue this pattern as the fight goes on. And you, within seconds, you're incapacitating somebody.
Yeah, or even if they don't know the exact places to incapacitate or put him out a certain amount of pressure in order to incapacitate without killing, they should be able to 100% keep themselves out of danger from anything that's like not a firearm that moves that quickly.
Right.
So like if they can have that many computations per second, like that just removes some of the credibility of the story. They can't have processors that function that efficiently and still have this quick time event where Kara is fighting Todd on even ground. It doesn't work.
Right.
The story flows much better if the androids have slower processors.
Or it's like, or if they reference that, like, or if they become deviant, that, like, that could be like extra processing power that is required or something like that. So that slows down their system significantly.
Yeah, something like that.
Something along those lines, just to cover, like, right off the bat, so you don't have to deal with that anymore. Like, I think that would be a cool little addition.
Or again, back in the world of realistic mass production, they don't have the top of the line processors because those cost more.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, if you want like a couple models with these really, really high intense stuff that, I mean, are very rare, then okay, but everything else, mass production, is like pretty like bottom of the barrel or just average stuff.
Yeah.
Like you don't need I don't know, like you don't need 1,000 core processors to do all of these things.
Right. Let them have massive storage so that Kara can know multiple languages and 400 recipes or 4,000 recipes. Fine. Storage, fine. But they don't have to have massive processing power to like spit out 400 recipes simultaneously.
Yeah.
That's not necessary for the $800 home housekeeper version.
Exactly, yeah.
Like, honestly, if that were the case, like, the processor alone would cost...
Oh, yeah,
like,
for sure.
$500, $600. So that doesn't make any sense.
Yeah, for sure.
Developers, have you ever bought a computer? Like, come on.
I got processors like most of the computer, but still, I mean, an advanced Android like that is going to take more than just...
Right.
Like, okay, it's $700 for the processor and $800 for the rest of it. It's going to be like cardboard around this really intense processor. I think we can jump into Luther and see what his backstory is all about.
Yeah, we want to buy this thing that costs as much as everything else, even though it's 15 seconds long.
Yeah.
Nice to meet you, Luther.
Hello. Let's see what your life was like.
Before the story of the game, it's just him being a slave for Zlatko.
Yeah.
Luther, bring me that plate. Here you go, sir.
Hold on.
Okay.
Just a little while longer.
Did not expect this at all.
Me neither.
Hold on. Just a little while longer. Hold on. Just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. Fight on. Just a little while longer. Fight on. Just a little while longer. Fight on. Just a little while longer. Everything will be alright. Everything will be alright. We will sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Sing on just a little while longer. Everything will be alright.
Holy crap, I did not see that coming at all.
Not in a million years, but I think that... I still don't know what he did. Like, was he just a singer before all this happened?
I'm pretty sure on that one, when they say this was before the events of the game, they're just completely talking out of their ass.
Yeah, that makes no sense at all.
Yeah, the Chloe interview, okay, fine.
Yeah.
But that, yeah.
Yeah, that's...
I don't think he's going to have, like, a rally the people... like slavery march song,
right?
Before any of them are sentient in the entire game.
And I think the androids around him were deviant at that point. So it's like before the events of the game, was Luther the original leader?
He's really RA9. Yeah, the whole game is BS.
That would be insane.
It's like Zlatko kidnapped him and screwed him over.
Yeah, to make him to make an example of him. It's like, oh, even your gods can fall.
No, it was just by total coincidence. Like, he went to Zlatko for help. Hey, yeah, man, I need to lead my people across the border, and I heard that you were... Yeah, I'll help you. He gets strapped to the same machine Kara did, and oops, accidentally.
Yeah. Well,
we just took out the savior, and now we have to wait for Marcus to rise up, because Zlatko made you his bitch.
You got wrecked, nerd. Zlatko, speaking of Zlatko, we can see what his hip happens is all about.
Guess we should. I don't know why you even get one. I guess it's more to, like...
You can see what freaky stuff he does, I guess.
Show off an evil guy to promote the game kind of thing.
Maybe, yeah.
Show us what you've got, Zlatko.
Show us your secrets.
But not your hairy balls.
Leave that for a different version of this game.
Detroit bear all humans. Yuck.
Rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. And down will come baby, cradle and all. Rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. And down will come baby, cradle and all. Rock-a-bye baby in the treetop. When the wind blows, the cradle will rock. When the bough breaks, the cradle will fall. And down will come baby, cradle and all.
Ah, a little terror trailer. A little terror. I can't
Terror trailer.
A little terror teaser to titillate
the town. Tammy. That was interesting. I don't know why. Like, they just showed that, or they just showed a whole bunch of random, like, decrepit androids walking around as stuff. But I guess a lot has changed since we visited, because we didn't see like anything around there. Because he was like, well, he hit it pretty well, like on the first floor at least.
Well, I think they were just going for horror. They
just
didn't
like
want
don't
to
really
show
care.
everybody in the basement. They wanted to show off the mansion also.
Yeah.
I'm glad we didn't see that before the game. I'm glad we didn't see most of these before the game, but that one in specific is really spoiler heavy.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I mean, we figured out Zlatko was
Pretty
not
early
trustworthy,
on,
really early on,
Yeah.
but still, like, the extent of the mutated androids and all that.
Yeah, that definitely takes it to a new level. And I can't imagine Zlatko would just let that android like sing infinitely like that.
Well, he had a good voice.
He did, but after like 4 days of nothing but that.
That's true. That's true.
Then it's like, all right, dude, you need to like either learn the next verse or you need to stop this. Well, I am almost most interested to see this actually.
Yeah.
I think this would be a really cool one before the story takes place.
Yeah,
Let's
I agree.
jump into Kamsky.
This is the most intriguing of these shorts.
Indeed. The
running shorts.
The shorts.
In the space of a few years, androids have completely transformed the world in which we live. By letting androids into our homes and factories, the CyberLife company has made them everyday technology. The founder of CyberLife, Elijah Kamsky, is a very discreet man. Despite being the CEO of the highest valued company in the world and being voted Man of the Year by Century Magazine, he remains a mystery for most people. That's why we at KNC are so excited to be here as CyberLife opens its doors for the first time. Elijah Kamsky, could you please tell us where we are?
Certainly, and welcome. We're currently in CyberLife's production center in Detroit, where all models are designed and manufactured. More than 10,000 androids come off the production line every day.
Fascinating. Could you tell us what your goal was when you founded CyberLife?
Well, I simply wanted to use technology to carry out all of our most annoying and repetitive tasks, so we'd have more time to enjoy life.
I imagine you must have faced many challenges.
Yes, there were technical challenges, but the hardest thing was to design an object that we would want to welcome into our homes. We had to imagine a machine in our own image that resembles us in every way, that moves, breathes, blinks like us, but yet is smarter and more capable than any human being. Let me show you around.
We're here in Production Unit 4. Could you explain in a few words how the androids are made?
Sure, yeah, it's very simple. We use machines to manufacture machines. The removable parts are assembled on a production line, and then we apply a synthetic skin to the whole body. A human operator checks the cognitive abilities with a pre-established protocol, and finally, the android is conditioned and sent out throughout the country. Here's the result. Say something.
Hello, I am a RZ400 model. How can I be of service?
You can go now. Our androids are already replacing humans in many fields. For example, they represent more than 80% of all university professors and 63% of all medical staff. Tomorrow they'll replace our soldiers, and who knows, maybe one day, our leaders, to make the best decisions in humanity's interest. Come on.
Replacing humans with machines has led to record unemployment of 28%. What do you think about the situation?
Okay. The first steam engines also caused an increase in unemployment. But no one today would imagine turning back the clock. Artificial intelligence makes everyday lives easier. Nothing can stop progress. What's happening here is inevitable.
These days, more and more people choose to live with an android rather than another human being. Does this development worry you?
Everything's much easier with an android. They obey your orders without ever complaining. They can cook, discuss philosophy with you, have intimate relationships according to your desires. They never say no. Obviously, they are the perfect partner. Everyone deserves happiness. Why deprive yourself of so-called moral reasons when a machine can make you happy?
Many science fiction books tell the story of how machines become more intelligent than us and end up confronting us. Aren't you worried about that possibility?
I understand the irrational fears about artificial intelligence, but I assure you that will never happen with a CyberLife android. They're designed to obey humans. They're machines. They can't ever develop any sort of desires or form of consciousness.
Are you sure?
I'm absolutely certain. You can trust me.
That was as interesting and I guess as informative as I thought that was going to be. Because, I mean, that was just the entry into him being like, oh no, everything's great. I've designed these androids to never have a flaw. And then, like, obviously, as soon as, like, we play the game and Connor starts talking to him, he's like, oh, also, there's, like, a back door for every android to exit some programs if they want, so... It's like, oh, that's also in the works, so good luck good luck finding out which one's which on this.
Yeah, I think it's interesting seeing. I wonder how close this short specifically was made to the actual release of the game. Because here, Kamsky's saying, okay, there's definitely no worries, no concerns, that'll never happen. And in the game, when you talk to him, he's basically saying the exact opposite.
Yeah.
Oh, it was inevitable for this sort of
Exactly.
transition to be reached.
Yeah.
So, coming from that perspective, it seems like, because there's fan theories that say Kamsky kind of engineered the entire revolution, the entire AI sentience development for the androids, and even potentially planted RA9 and designed him ahead of time, planted the concept of RA9 in the androids, which is why all of them have like these similar kind of conclusions where they start worshiping RA9 or believing in RA9.
Right.
Because as they pointed out earlier in the game, is it a sign of intelligence or emotion or just life in general to believe in something greater than yourself? Potentially, but is it a sign for every separate individual to come up with the exact same belief? No.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, 100%. Like, if that were the case, then you'd be seeing different sects of androids, like, having their own religions, or, like, or RA1, RA2.
Right.
Like, all these different, like, like, religions, so to speak, coming out of nowhere. So, yeah, I mean, it makes sense. It also, because we saw the story, like, just the way that he comes off, it has that kind of, like, he knows something is happening, but he's just, like, he's saving face, I guess you could say, for saying, oh yeah, I'm totally here with they're nothing but machines. You have nothing to worry about. You can trust me fully. And then almost the exact opposite, like 180 in the actual game. So that could be on purpose, or that could just be because we actually saw his playing out of the game, and now it just looks like he's having some weird scheme that he's been rocking since the beginning.
Right.
Yeah.
How intentional was it? Like, here he's working at CyberLife, so maybe he's being genuine in his support of the company and his concept where, yeah, the androids will never do that. I designed them.
Right.
But whatever happened, we didn't see the specifics of what caused the break between him and CyberLife. Yeah.
Yeah. If he, like, sold it to have his own, like, his freedom or whatever, and just let the company take its course, or was it like a falling out with him and like board members or something like that? Yeah. Was
it amicable, or was it with total fallout, or just completely on horrible terms? He hated them, they hated him, everything. And in that case, he engineered the android revolution completely on his own. And even if they did leave on good terms, he could have still engineered the android revolution completely on his own, just not to F with CyberLife, but because he saw it as a challenge or the natural progression of android AI development.
Right.
And maybe that's why he left, because he wanted to develop that, and they said, no, it'll mess with things too much. And he's like, oh, okay, you're right. Winky, winky.
Yeah.
Bye-bye.
Well, if that's the case, I'll take my severance package and leave.
Yeah.
And then he's just like remoting in from home and like hacking in all these androids.
He doesn't even have to do that. He has his own androids.
I guess so.
He messes with them, and they give each other 5, and they instantly transfer the info.
Right, yeah. Just have like 2 android debuggers on him at all times or something like that, and he can like mess around with their AI as much as he wants. And he's like set for life apparently, because this is the richest company in the world. And if he sold it for God knows how much, then I mean he's gonna have like money to blow for sure.
Yeah, and you're definitely right about how we meet him in the game, and he seems like he's someone who's running a scheme. They go to him seeking answers, and it's not like he doesn't have them. He's a little vague in what he says. When we were asking about RA9, he's like, I don't know. But he sounds like he does know, and that he's just telling you what he wants you to hear.
Exactly, yeah. Because he's just like, oh, and is also that, I'll only answer one question, so make it count. And then, so that implies that he is like, he can answer multiple questions, but he's either covering his own butt and not wanting to answer these things, or he's just like kind of being a dick.
Right.
So,
but he knows.
Yeah,
it seems like.
exactly. Yeah.
Like he's vague about it, but he could tell you more. It seems So yeah, definitely get the idea that Kamsky is pulling. I would still, like we said at the end of the final episode, I would have liked to have seen a more clear-cut resolution on that. Like maybe they are planning to address that in DLC or something like that, but I would have liked to have seen, and here's what happened.
Yeah,
like,
for sure.
Here's how the android revolution really started. And then he set this in motion and everything kind of trails from there. Or he did more than that. He's pulling the strings carefully as it goes along. He's kind of orchestrating certain things that happen to Marcus and directing his shift more. Like he's hitting at the right time when it'll have the most impact, something like that.
Right, yeah. Or it's like forcing these certain androids that were kind of like put in place to become deviant at these certain points. He's like launching internal attacks basically. So if there's like an android, say somewhere in the White House or something like that, he can convert that android to make him deviant, like just to continue serving his purpose or something like that. So if that's a possibility, then that would be awesome to see in maybe DLC, maybe another game like a sequel, or like is this kind of the end for it and they'll just leave it up to the audience to decide kind of thing.
Yeah, so far with Quantic Dream, their other games did not have DLC. Heavy Rain and Beyond Two Souls. Heavy Rain was kind of before DLC was really big, but yeah, Beyond Two Souls potentially could have had DLC, I guess. I don't believe it had DLC, maybe it did. But anyway, if it follows in that trend, then looks like it's probably just going to remain a mystery.
Oh, man. Well, I mean, it's kind of sad, but at the same time, it's like I respect the fact that it's like not all right out in front of you, that you have to like work for it a little bit. It's just I like some more breadcrumbs to be able to find the actual story.
Yeah, I agree. I don't think they have to blatantly have this weird point of utter exposition and it's just like here is exactly what happened and and kind of lay it out in a kind of formal, boring way.
Right.
But yeah, more clues scattered around so that eventually you could piece it all together.
Right, yeah.
That sort of thing would be pretty damn interesting.
Yeah, and to have like an online community to be able to like translate all of that information, and like you could basically have your community tell the story that you're wanting to tell, but like really make it, you can like shell out a lot because you have a lot of manpower behind it and you don't have to pay anybody to do that story. You can like drop the hints and then drop more hints, I guess, and then let everybody else piece it all together. So
and maybe show Kamsky's role, or I mean, maybe they didn't have a role. It was one of those things where Kamsky and Lucy didn't have a bigger role. They just kind of set it and forget it. If that's the case, I think it's pretty weak in terms of the storytelling. Or if they wanted it to be 100% fluid, like CyberLife's weird kind of fluctuating end game where, aha, we definitely wanted you to do this, even though that makes no sense.
Right.
Or if Connor was obedient to them, they still would have been like, aha, we definitely wanted you to be obedient to us the entire time, if that is the way that would have played out.
Right.
And they just kind of cheesed it so that there was no ultimate CyberLife consistent agenda, but it changed based on what you did, in which case there is no definitive storyline. And that's kind of hokey. Like I would have rather at least the developers had in mind, okay, and here's what happened and here's how it happened. And then the characters aren't necessarily privy to that information because from their perspective they don't get every piece of the story. But maybe the players can figure that out.
Yeah, drop hints from like, or little breadcrumbs from the other I guess the other potential routes that could have been taken. Yeah. And
from each character's story.
Like
Connor gets CyberLife insights if you go to the building and that sort of thing.
And maybe they could mean nothing to him in his storyline, but at least the player gets to see it from their perspective. Yeah, I think that would be awesome to see.
Yeah.
Well, like that about covers all of the videos for the extras. So it's got to see a lot of really cool stuff, makings, the very beginnings of all the major characters and even some of the not so major ones. So overall, pretty good. I like that they actually put in that little extra effort for it.
We hope you guys enjoyed the extras as much as we did.
Indeed. Hope you guys like them, and see you guys in the next one.
Until then, this is Night and Day, signing off.
Bye-bye. Have a good day.